sorry, my name is Chris Poyers. I'm doing my TED Talk on stem cells and scientific limitation on stem cells. But first, I'm going to start off with a story, and it's a story about two of my neighbors. They're both named Brent, both retired. I lost one of them a few years ago. Very sad, but the thing that linked them together is they're both handymen. So in the neighborhood, if someone had a problem, they would go to one of the Brents. And the older one taught me a lot of things that I didn't need to know, but I know and I don't regret knowing. So like how to load a bullet, taught me that when I was like 6 or 7. How to make an oven out of a can, taught me that when I was like 8. Taught me how to make a nail sword at the same time when I learned that. Taught me how to garden in his garden, stuff like that. New Brent, one that came in, moved in a few years ago. He, one of the things he says is the thing he lives by is, he said as a scripture, I don't remember quite the scripture it was, but it went along the lines of, what was it? And he prayed unto God, make me a servant of thy will, and like something along the lines of empowerment, and like allowing him to empower someone. And so he lives his life off of empowering others. And so when he sees a chance to teach someone, he takes that chance. And so he teaches, like, my family's a lot of car problems. He is very willing to help us with that, with our lawnmower when it breaks, or our snow blower. And that's something that I want to do in my life, is empower people, teach them. And we come to this, stem cells. So what are they and what do they do? So by raise of hand, who knows what a stem cell is already? So like a few of you. Okay, now who knows what the cells in general are? I mean, I should see everyone's hands. I'm sure you all took biology, unless you didn't. So stem cells are cells that don't have a purpose. They're cells. So you know, there's in the human body, there's 76 trillion cells, and there's multiple different kinds of cells that make up the body. You have skin cells, muscle cells, cells that make up your heart, tissue, all that kind of stuff. And the thing about stem cells that makes them different is they don't have a purpose. They can be used to become anything. They're just neutral cells. You can put them into areas that you want them to become, so you can make them into blood cells, into cells you need to replenish areas. And that's one of the things they can do. And with like lizards, when you cut off their tail, they can regrow it, and through stem cells and other cells, that's how they regrow their tails. So what can they do? So this is an Axtole thing. I don't remember what its name is because I can't pronounce it, but it's a sea salamander. And the sea salamander can, if you were to remove some of its organs, if it's able to live with those organs gone for a time, it can regenerate those organs. Same if you were to cut off its tails, its limbs, you could call multiple things from this sea salamander, and it will grow them back. And it's really weird, I'm gonna be honest. And then there have been cases where with stem cells, they've taken, so if you're dealing with some organs in the body, they've taken stem cells and put them on like your heart. In like this scenario, it was a rat when they were testing, and they took the stem cells and they put it in the heart where it was going bad. And they took it and turned it into some of the heart cells and into blood, to turn it into blood cells to heal that area. And in the future, we could, with stem cells, regrow our own limbs, which is where I kind of want to go in my future, is kind of like prosthetic engineering, Doc Ock, Tentacle Man. Anyways, with stem cells, you can, in my case, I want to create a fully functioning prosthetic limb, but one of the ways you can create sense, like feeling with it, is by having your skin kind of grow over it, in a sense, in a way where you can feel through your skin, kind of, using the stem cells. But in the future, we won't even need prosthetic limbs, because we can use the stem cells to fully regrow your missing limb. I mean, it'd be like Deadpool, where it's just, instead of just like in other media where you just see like, boom, new limb. It's just kind of like starting back from baby process of cloning. So there's this sheep called Dolly the sheep. She was a fully functioning cloned mammal. They took the cells of a black sheep, and then they took out the nucleus and combined it with the cells of a white sheep. And then they took that and they had it grow itself into an embryo, and they implanted that embryo into a black sheep. And what came out was the copy of that white sheep. So its DNA was exactly the same as that white sheep, and it was a perfect clone, I guess you could say. In the future, we could attempt human cloning, but that is a sense of morality that can go wrong. So where do they come from? So this right here is a blastocyst. A blastocyst is part of kind of like the pregnancy kind of run thing. So it is, before it goes into, I don't remember exactly, it does before, in one of the stages before it starts actually growing the child in the uterus, it's a blastocyst. And so from the blastocyst, we can take stem cells that can become neurons, these kinds of cells, stuff like that. And here's where the moral issue comes in, is the fact that it comes from human embryonic stem cells. Those human embryonic stem cells come from the human embryo. And a lot of people think that it's child murder. It's not really that great. But the thing about it is the blastocyst. Does anyone know what the blastocyst is and how big it is? No? Well, it's about that big. That's how big the blastocyst is. It is a culmination of about 200-ish cells. It has no physical characteristics, but is nothing, it's just cells, that's all it is. That is kind of like the building blocks of a person. So there's no real moral issue if you're taking this size of cells from a person. And it's not exactly a living thing in any sense. Oh, that is the wrong button. So the solution, I just want to educate people on the blastocyst itself. There's other ways to gather stem cells. It's pluripotent stem cells, which is using somatic cells and kind of altering them to become stem cells. But that's one way to gather them. But when it comes to human embryonic stem cells, people need to understand that it's not exactly living. It's not a child, it's not a person. It's a dot of cells that is barely even visible to the naked eye. So with no physical characteristics, you have to use a microscope to even look at it sometimes. Educating people on this kind of topic is something that can really push further the evolution of stem cells in general, because that's why a lot of stem cell laboratories and things like that lack funding, because people think it's murder, even though you have the dot that is barely visible that you gather them from. And that's the end.
Like currently, right now, how far are we how close are we to actually getting like prosthetic things like you said?
Oh, like actual regrowing of limbs. So right now, as far as I'm aware, we can only put them in areas to regrow small patches, which is why we need the funding to create things that can really push it forward and keep it going. Because throughout the human body, we have areas where stem cells are, like in our bone marrow, and stuff like that. And because of it being there, and at one point our bodies could have used them like starfish or lizards do to regrow missing parts, but throughout the course of time itself, and as evolution kind of went on, we might have lost that trait, or it might not have even been there. But the fact that some cells are there is something that can push us further.
Shot in the dark, but out of animals that can regenerate limbs or organs, do you know which animal is biologically closest to humans?
I am not sure. I can look it up for you if you want. I think it's mostly reptiles and the sea salamander, this guy. I think it's more, I think there's certain areas or certain animals that how they're like come to be is what allows them to do that. And I think humans and, cause one of the animals we're close to is monkeys and like chimps and that kind of stuff. As far as I'm aware, I don't think we can regrow a limb, so I think lizards are, I think, possibly the closest ones. But I can definitely look it up and give you an actual answer, but I know.
So when you're talking about the sea salamander and how it can regenerate like different organs if they were taken out, is that because they have more stem cells than humans do?
So with the sea salamander, there's other factors that play into it. And so there's like the macrophage, I don't know what it's called, like something phage. That's it starts with an M, has phage in it. They did studies, and there's other things that play into the creation of its new limbs and things like that. And they discovered that with the sea salamander, if you completely remove the microphage or whatever it's called, it can't regrow it, it just closes the wound. And when it has that microphage and is able to put it out there is what helps it. And so there's obviously other things, it's not just the stem cells themselves that allow it to do that, there's other factors that we need to include into it. And so being able to have funding like that, where we can research that, is something that's really important. You had your